Hi, babe. How many people know about PMS? I mean, every woman knows about it. Men warn other people about it. We all know it's a problem. So, my name is Laura Sherrill, and I'm the founder of Balanced Bombshells, where we talk all about understanding our hormones so we can live optimally in our health, wellness, our mind, body, our hormones balance, all of that stuff. So today we're going to talk about 4 things about PMS that you don't know. And so these are completely life-changing because if we understand these, we can then alleviate PMS. And you're talking to a girl who struggled with PMDD. So if you don't know what PMDD is, it is a more intense version of PMS where it greatly interrupts your life. Not that PMS on its own doesn't, but PMDD, I was plummeting every single month. I was calling out of work 1 to 2 days every single month. I was getting migraines. I had bloat for like 2 weeks that would happen. It was throwing off my cycle. It was disrupting my life, and it just stole all my positive and high energy. It just like threw it right out the window. So today I'm going to be talking to you about 4 things that are actually in a guide I have for purchase on my website. So it's 4 things about PMS. And you can grab a pen, grab a paper. You are going to want to write down these notes because my doctor honestly never talked to me about these things. And if they did, I don't know if I would have gone so long with struggling with PMS. So let's dive in. So the first thing about PMS that you might not know is all about the balance between estrogen and progesterone. So what's happening is when we're ovulating, our body gets a surge of estrogen. And then as we go through our luteal phase that brings us down to our period, estrogen starts to decline and progesterone is increasing. So we're then having our period essentially. And so what happens is estrogen, if it's not effectively metabolized from our body, can create a lot of PMS issues. Because if we have too much estrogen in the body, it's then prohibiting the amount of progesterone that can be produced. So these 2 hormones are 2 of our sex hormones, and they need to be in balance. And so if we're not living essentially in a way that could help it, or if our body naturally is just not metabolizing it well, there are certain things that you can do to get rid of it. And so for me, I take things like a DIM supplement during my ovulation, a calcium dechlorate, which is it helps metabolize the liver. So what happened for me is my liver was just getting so overloaded with estrogen, and so it then couldn't leave the body. So if you ever notice acne along your jawline, if you notice your mood is feeling a bit more unstable, so estrogen is a very stimulating hormone, and we need progesterone to essentially help calm our mood as well. So one of those tips is understanding how your body is metabolizing estrogen. So if it's not fully eliminating it, it can then be causing PMS issues. So the second one is not producing enough progesterone. So if we're not producing enough progesterone, which is then happening in our luteal phase, it can then lead into a very uncomfortable PMS week. And so I have my cat Lacey behind me, so if you hear any like clawing on the chair, she is scratching on this chair while also being a little back massager as she purrs up against my back. She likes to join me on some of these videos. So if our body's not producing enough progesterone and then we're having a harder time metabolizing estrogen, we're then creating more PMS essentially. So our mood, we're not feeling as stable. You might feel just like super irritated. So I noticed it for me on like surfaces and like cleanliness in my home. Even if I had spent like all morning cleaning or all weekend cleaning, I just narrowed in on all these things. And I have to tell you, by balancing it, so PMS is not something that we have to live with. So if you hear people talking about it's normal, sure, it's certainly common, but common doesn't mean that it's normal. I view PMS as a thing of telling us that something is off within our body and it's time to pay attention. And we absolutely need to be paying attention to this, ladies, because it is hurting us. So what's happening is it's throwing off our mood. So I would just be hyper focused on like, I need to clean, or I would then just be feeling so dissatisfied with myself and my life. And so these, even emotionally, this is telling you that something hormonally is going off. So our hormones really do drive our emotions as well. And the more we can pay attention to how we're feeling and recognize the times at which they're happening within our cycle, we're actually able to tune in a little bit better and understand why our body's responding in these ways and why we're feeling this way. Because it doesn't feel good to look in the mirror and not feel good about yourself. And this can absolutely happen with PMS. So if we're not producing enough progesterone, we're not able to then calm our body the way in which we need to. And then we need progesterone to be able to showcase lean muscle that we've built. So if we aren't having enough progesterone, we might feel extra bloated, and it might last for more than a day or two. For me, it was happening for like 2 weeks, so I totally get it. It's not fun. And so just making sure that we're constantly balancing these two hormones. So another thing that really worked for me, and that might work for you as well, is I actually switched up all of my cleaning and skincare products. So a lot of the products that we put on our skin or use in our makeup contain parabens or other things that actually act as fake estrogen within our body. So if we're putting these things on our skin is our largest organ, so we're absorbing it into our system, and then our body's recognizing it as another form of estrogen. But if we're already having PMS problem, it's then going to drive up estrogen and then not be able to essentially exit the body in the way in which we need to. So I switched to all natural products, which is why I'm such an advocate for holistic beauty care. I do a lot of different skincare that I either make at home, or I rinse my hair with apple cider vinegar, which can help make it shine, and just all of these little tricks in holistic beauty care that actually really supports our hormones and can help alleviate PMS. I notice a huge difference in my skin as well. So if you've been struggling with that acne along your jawline or any sort of hormonal acne that comes up with your cycle, you might notice a huge benefit by switching your products. So the third thing you might not know about PMS is all about our insulin levels. So if we're not stabilizing our blood sugar well, so insulin and blood sugar are interchangeable when I talk about them. So insulin is, what you know of if you then have a candy bar and then you then surge your insulin, right? So you're getting that energy like pickup, and then you're getting that huge crash, which can come from that insulin spike. And so if we're not stabilizing our blood sugar, this is actually a huge stress on our body. And so if our body is feeling stressed out, it actually shuts down other systems to be able to protect itself. And so other ways that we might be throwing off our blood sugar is drinking coffee on its own, or drinking it with sugar and not pairing it with a meal, or at least with a healthy fat and protein. I at least pair it with a healthy fat. So if I drink coffee at home, I'll put in a little bit of full fat coconut milk, and it helps our body stabilize our insulin better and able to actually effectively process that caffeine a little bit better. And then juicing. So I know a lot of women will do juice cleanses, and especially during if you've got an event coming on, if you've got like New Year's, or you've got a girls trip, you've got, a bachelorette party, you have a wedding, like juice cleanses are like, women just flock to them. And personally, I focus on food cleanses versus juice cleanses because they would throw off my blood sugar too much. So for me, keeping my blood sugar stable has actually been really hard. My body is just not as good as some other people. And so some ways that you might know about your blood sugar that you could then tune into your body and how it feels is, how do you feel right before a meal? Do you feel like you just have to eat, and if you don't get something to eat, you're going to murder somebody? Or are you like, oh, okay, it's time for mealtime, and I guess I could eat. So when we're hangry, that is actually a huge sign of our blood sugar, and something to tune into, because our bodies are super sensitive. We are women, we were designed to reproduce. And so if our body feels any sort of threat all month long, it's going to hold off and kind of shut down other systems to protect an unborn fetus, regardless if we're pregnant or not, and regardless if you're even trying. So paying attention to our blood sugar is super crucial and can absolutely help with your PMS symptoms. And you will feel just way more emotionally sound, way more balanced, and you'll just wake up and just, plan your day with food in mind. So what are you going to be eating for lunch? Really eating clean, so making sure that you're not having added sugar. So in the Balanced Bombshells lifestyle, I teach very minimal sugar. So I also eat fruit in moderation. I focus on more natural forms of sugar, so from fruit, raw honey, agave, and very much in moderation. And for you, if you're noticing that you're able to keep your insulin levels stable, eating things like brown rice or quinoa, complex carbs like this will really make your body feel good. So they can also be beans. Me personally, those are also throw off my insulin levels too. So if you feel like you can't eat them and you don't feel good eating them, know you're not alone, because that happens to me as well. So I focus on a paleo keto-ish diet, which really helps me. So I focus on lean proteins, getting enough adequate healthy fats in my body. So I eat a lot of avocado. I cook with coconut oil and olive oil. I eat seeds and I eat nuts. Like, I'm a huge fan of nut butter. So all of these things can help stabilize our blood sugar. So just making sure that you're not having too much sugar, even drinking wine on its own, just watching your consumption of sugar, even alcohol has been turning to sugar in our body. So you really want to be mindful of these. So that is the third thing about PMS that you might not know. So keeping our blood sugar stable can actually help with our PMS and will just make you feel so much more emotionally sound and just happy and free all day long, I swear. And then the fourth thing about PMS that you might not know from your doctor, and I'm going to look in here really quick to give you a few tips on it, is your body has increased inflammation. So inflammation is the root of all disease, if you've ever heard that. So inflammation in our body really goes into period problems. A lot of PMS, it makes our brain feel more foggy, like we can't think as clearly, it steals our energy. And so we really want to focus on our gut health and how the inflammation is going on within our body. So if you're struggling with too much inflammation, and this can come from foods that aren't necessarily clean, so I really try to focus on organic meats and lean proteins and organic fruits and vegetables whenever possible, because they're if they're not necessarily organic, or you can look up the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15 of produce to see like the list of essentially clean produce that you don't have to worry about buying organic, like usually anything with a shell, so like pineapple, avocado, banana, anything with a shell around it, I usually don't worry about buying organic. But then there are certain produce that are ranked by how much pesticides are on them, so you really want to focus on getting organic as much as possible, because these pesticides essentially are going into our body, and our body is then working to alleviate these toxins from our body, and it's driving up the inflammation. And so it actually can then be causing too much PMS symptoms and leaving women struggling. So cleaning up your diet and making sure that you're eating as clean as possible can help remove that inflammation, and then really focusing on your gut health. So if you take a probiotic, you can drink bone broth. Something that I add to my smoothies to really help seal the lining of my stomach to make sure that it's healthy and strong is an amino acid called L-glucosamine. And so I get it in powdered form, and I'll put it in a smoothie or just mix it with water, and that actually helps strengthen my stomach to be able to kind of help with inflammation, and just making sure that you can reduce that inflammation. So even like turmeric lattes, if you've seen a lot of those online from wellness professionals, and it just literally making sure that our stomach is as clear as possible. And so my point before about switching up skincare products as well, this will also help your body with inflammation. So these are 4 tips about PMS that you didn't know. So I hope these help. You can totally get rid of this. So it's reported that 90% of women struggle with PMS. I am part of the 10% that does not. So you can absolutely become one of those too. So I will leave the link in the description of how you can purchase this guide. There are so many more tips and tricks in here. I talk specifics on how you can turn your body around, and you can just start feeling better. It took me about 2 to 3 cycles to really be feeling a difference. So that's 2 to 3 months. Our body goes in a cycle. So that's how long it takes our body to reset, is like the length of your period. So our hormones reset on a monthly basis. If you know anything about that, so a woman's monthly cycle is anywhere between 21 and 35 days, and it takes that long for our bodies to reset. So mine reset on about 29 to 30 days. Yours might be 25, it might be 35, however long it takes to reset, just know that that's perfectly normal. And so the difference between us and men is men reset their hormones after 24 hours. So at the end of each day, their hormones reset, where ours take the entire month. So just know that you are totally okay to be having a wide variety of emotions throughout the month. Your body is fluctuating, and the more we can flow with it, the more we can ride with it, the happier and healthier we will be. So thank you for joining me today, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.